What is up, guys? Lord Nick here, bringing you the ninth episode of the Dangerous Game Podcast, guys. Welcome back. I appreciate everybody joining me this week. Topics for the week, guys. So I want to talk about Teamfight Tactics, of course, because this is the newest mode released by Riot. It's going to be looks like its own type of game that just uses the same client. And we're going to talk about the other game modes that Riot's tried to create to be a steady game mode that haven't gone too well. I also want to address the Riot Please that was posted recently. If you haven't seen it, it's a very good watch. It's not a very long video. I recommend watching it. And then the big topic for today is going to be setting milestones, guys, and making that unobtainable goal, that key thing that you're looking forward to in the future become the obtainable. Anyhow, let's start off with teamfight tactics, guys. This is a pretty big topic on its own, but I wanted to talk about it as it is the newest mode that Riot is making, and it is doing extraordinarily well. I kind of expected this once it was announced, literally announced like 3 days before it was going to get posted up on the beta. A handful of people from Riot were like, hey, we've done part of the internal testing. We all played, we the people who played, Dota Auto Chess love it. The people that didn't play Dota Auto Chess think it's pretty fun. And of course, with the new game comes the question: is this what's going to finally replace League of Legends? I think it's going to be one of those things. It's one of those hot craze, for a little while, right? Like auto chess was taking, a top strategy players by storm for quite a while, and people still played it. They just didn't, play it super often on streams. Like there would be some people that migrated pretty much to auto chess, but after its first like 3 weeks of the game, it just kind of fell off of the Twitch streaming platform. And I think Teamfight Tactics is going to have a little bit more staying power in the same way that League had better staying power than Dota. Like, right, like Dota comes out, everybody's super hyped about it, and then like as the years went on, League really just overshadowed Dota 2, except for giant events, because of the, crowdfunding. People wanted to see what the big events were, how much, was the crowdfunding for, how's the tournament going, and those were like the few exceptions there. But even then, League still has just been the higher grossing game, I think, overall, just because of, or maybe not grossing, that's talking about money, and I'm not, I don't want to be quoted on that. We're gonna backpedal there a little bit. I think it's still like the higher watched game though, due to the fact that it's a lot more approachable. The appearance of League, the ideas behind its base mechanics seem easier to approach. Just the way that Riot's gone about promoting the game is just better for it. And so, Teamfight Tactics is a better version of Dota Auto Chess, even though it might not be the better game. It's the better version because it's more approachable. It's easier to understand. People like how it looks. Its mechanics don't require you to press random buttons and don't have instructions on how to do it, except for this small little 4x4 panel that just has broken written English because it was designed initially by Chinese devs who don't really speak English. So there's a lot more approach to it that, when League of Legends has a giant follower base of people who speak English, it's a lot easier for them to design oh, okay, cool, this is a working game that people really like. Let's make our own variant of it. Very much how League came into being, right? You take it from the mod that was for Warcraft 3 that was the original Dota, and then you go off, make your own company, and make your own game, and it becomes wildly successful. Why not just look back to Dota for something that happens with another mod and make your own game? And I think all in all, it was a smart move by Riot. I saw it coming, and then, I kind of expected the turnout response from it, which was exceptionally long queues. By the way, guys, don't get upset about those. Like, I mean, yeah, it's somewhat upsetting. You could see me on my stream the past couple of days where I kind of got upset about it, in the fact that, I'd wait 3-4 hours. But, the thing I was more upset about was the fact that the queue timer said it was only going to be like an hour and it still took like 4 hours. That was the annoying aspect of it. But all in all, you got to kind of expect this, right? Like, this is a hyped up game by multiple streamers, and then the top streamers amongst League, Hearthstone, and Dota Auto Chess all flooded to this game on its conception and release for beta in the PvE, jumped into playing it. and they are just, there's nobody saying anything bad about it. Even I'm a cutie pie who's like, yeah, I think it's okay. I don't think it's better than auto chess. Was like, I think it has potential though. It definitely has the potential. In his cool dude bro way of saying things, I think, all in all, this game could replace auto chess, primarily because Dota is trying to make their own auto chess. You got Valve taking over the Dota auto chess and making its own standalone game that took a lot of the raw mechanics and changed them, took a lot of the raw stats of the champions or of the heroes or whatever they're called, changed them, and all in all just made the game feel different and not in a good way. I think that might spell the end of the Dota auto chess, and then Teamfight Tactics takes it over and becomes that top auto battler in the genre. And for those that aren't interested in it, I say just give it a small try. It's a good tool for you to play something else that still feels league-like but isn't league. And also, I think it actually adds in a lot of value for learning league mechanics. And by that, I mean specifically the economy system. The economy system is a lot harder in teamfight tactics, but I think it also gives you a better understanding of why the economy is useful in League. And while you can't buy items in that one, you get to buy heroes, and you get the choice of re-rolling or upgrading your level. And having to understand when is the right thing to do, how do you do this, when do you get your, what is the most advantageous thing for you to do? Oh, do I have a couple of level 2s sitting on my bench? Maybe I shouldn't be, saving and hoarding up that money. I should be just spamming level ups and get to my level 7 before while everybody's at level 5, so that I have the man advantage, so that even though my weaker units initially are here, I have more of them and win by numbers. There's ways of that, and the biggest thing is knowing how to balance that economy. Do I need to go for, that 50 gold so I get the maximum bonus of just interest bonus on it so I get more gold a turn? Or do I want to spend it all to get a level advantage? Kind of can translate, do I want to go spend for smaller items or buy a big item? It's not a perfect translation, but managing an economy in a game can translate to managing an economy in a different game. It just gives you a new opinion on how to do it. Do I want the immediate, hey, give me an advantage so I can gain an incremental advantage over time, or do I want to wait, hoard it up, get a bigger advantage, and then go for the overtime win con? There's multiple ways to look at it. There's multiple avenues of winning in teamfight tactics, but I think it does help apply some economic bonuses to understand to League, and give you a little bit of a game understanding of a lesser thought about side of League. Next up, guys, I do want to talk about the Riot Please video. Now, this goes kind of hand in hand with the teamfight tactics, as they do talk about it a little bit, but they also talk about a lot of topics that was kind of forgotten about by most people. Mind you, I forgot Riot Pleases even existed anymore, as they hadn't really done one since last year, which is a very long time to wait for a new Riot Please, right? Like, you just, it's something I wish they did more often. And as for the video, they cover quite a few different topics, and I think everybody should really go over and watch it. Of course, Mr. PR himself is going to be there, on the Riot Please. Same guy that we saw last year, same guy that we see occasionally on stuff. But some of the big things the Riot Please addressed is going to be our Death Recap and Teamfight Tactics. They're talking about the new game mode and the fact that they tried with Nexus Splits to make it a permanent game mode opposed to a rotating one, and they feel like it wasn't in the right place, but they think Teamfight Tactics might be. It was really neat. The fact that they finally announced they're getting rid of the old Death Recap system, which, if you don't know what that is, that's when you're dead and you can look at what killed you and get inaccurate numbers on what actually did anything to you. Now they're replacing it with a better looking one, and one that actively works, which is really nice. Um, and then a few other topics, and I really just kind of wanted to touch up on this one. This isn't something I want to spend a whole lot of time talking about, but I think it's a nice tool that you can look it up. You can either just Google, Riot Please, and the most recent one will pop up as one of the first few options, or you can just go to the client, and the client has it available on there. There's actually on the Nexus part of the client, you can choose to go and watch the Riot Please from there. And now, guys, to the biggest topic of this video. I wanted to talk about setting milestones, is what I put down as the topic. The biggest topic is unobtainable goals, actually. And they go hand in hand, they're the same topic, so I just wanted to really touch on these. But here's the biggest thing, guys. So, what does this really mean, right? Everybody always has an unobtainable goal, though. There's always that one thing that just seems so far away, you're never going to get there. For some people it might be going pro in League of Legends. For other people it might just be getting diamond. For other people it could be something in real life, like getting a car, getting a job that makes you a lot of money. And these goals seem way out of reach. And they can be, and they are. And note, just because something is currently out of reach doesn't mean in the future it won't be in reach, but just waiting around for it to just randomly become something you can do is not going to fix the problem. It's not going to get you there. It's not going to be, hey, if I just keep throwing myself at this with nothing to improve myself, I'm eventually going to get it. Some people are that lucky, and it can happen. It could happen that you want to go pro in league and you just keep doing what you're doing, not trying to improve, and you naturally are just very good at the game and you just do it subconsciously, you improve. Now, that being said, it might not mean that you're going to be pro for very long. A lot of those players that just have that natural talent that don't actually learn a lot about the game are going to get there just off of that raw talent, but they're not going to stick there because, yeah, you could have the overall skill, but if you don't have the mental capacity to learn the understanding of the game that allows you to become a tactical thinker, becomes a smart player, become a more versatile player, you're going to end up like maybe on some of the lower end teams, or you're just not going to make it onto the stage anymore, and you're going to become an academy player for the rest of your unknown league career. So, and then there's other people that just never make it past plat, like myself, or people that don't make it into even past diamond, or maybe you can make it into master, but it's just not good enough to make it into the pro area. So, what are ways to fix this problem, accommodate for all the different contingencies that might happen, and all the different what's the word I'm looking for here? The different branches that might and avenues that might appear. How do you choose the right options here? And there's not a lot of easy ways to talk about how you choose the right options because each person, the right option is going to be different. Right? For some people, you just set the end goal and you can make it to the end goal, but you didn't have a ladder that brought you there. Mind you, just think about it in like walking the stairways to success. Right? We'll talk about it as a stairway opposed to a ladder. If there are set steps for you to take and you take each of those steps, it makes it easier to get to the top opposed to trying to jump past, like, oh, what, I'm not good at farming, I'm not good at tower taking, I'm not good at taking dragons, but I'm really good at getting kills and forcing, people to die so that my teammates can do these things. Maybe if I just keep doing that and I hunt for kills, we're going to, eventually find myself much higher because my KDA is higher and I'm just better at outmaneuvering and killing people. Yeah, that could eventually get you to diamond play, but it's going to be much harder without the objective controls of understanding. So it basically, think of it this way: instead of taking those steps for CSing, for tower taking, and for dragon control, you're just good at kills, so you're just going to jump over those and try to get above those. Some people, they can do that jump. Some people can take that, jump over the 3 or 4 steps to the top, but for other people, you're going to hit those steps, break your ankles, and fall all the way back down, and it's not good. Breaking that ankles is that mental block. You start getting into that mindset of, oh, I'm never going to get there. Oh man, and you just become super pessimistic about it, and so you just kind of set yourself a basically a goal that you can't get to. It's as if you're trying to go up a sheer wall at this point. Like, it changes from steps to just jumping onto the top of this wall. And that's hard to do. Taking a standstill straight jump and trying to go up 6 feet is much harder than just, walking 4 steps up. So we're looking at what are ways to change this, and you got to set milestones, man. Like, if you go into league now, evaluate what some of your problems are, and you could do this with real life too. If there's other things in life you want, like a better job, what are some of the milestones I could set for that? But we're going to specifically use this in the example for league, but please do apply it to anything else. Let's go with the fact that you're a silver player and you want to become A pro player. Well, be mindful of the fact that silver is average, but you are also a bad player. Even into plat, you retain a quality that makes you a bad player. Plat is below diamond for a reason, and so is gold below plat and silver below gold. So let's just say you want to make diamond. Let's just make that the goal because going to pro means there's even more steps. But let's go to diamond because this is the simplest way to make steps for that. Evaluate what is good about you as a player. What is my strengths? Okay, for most silver players, it's going to be one of two things. You're very good in the tactical mindset, meaning you know how to control dragons, you know how to contest barons, and you're pretty okay at pushing towers. But here's the problem: you're terrible at fighting people. You're absolutely god awful in the micromechanics. You yourself are just very bad with champions, and your farming is not very good. So let's choose one of those things. That's just a problem with you, Mr. Example Silver Player, number 99. Um, we're gonna choose. Let's start with farming, right? Let's say you're just really bad at last hitting. So what are you gonna do about it? Well, most people they're just gonna play in ranked and they're gonna focus on farming, and that could work. And mind you, that is a very good strategy for working. But here's the problem with that: is if you're competing against silver people and you're learning to farm, you learn to farm against silver people. You're not necessarily learning to farm better. The best way to learn to farm better is going to be a multitude of ways to do it. Now, for each person, it's going to be different, but this is a way I kind of recommend doing that. Is you watch pros, you analyze how they're farming. Now, this may be very, very boring, and it will be very, very boring because you're just watching people farm. You're not even watching people, go for kills and stuff. You get to see that, but you're not actively looking for that. You're looking for how do they farm? How do they trade with their opponent? Where do they position in the lane? You're looking for all these small, small little nuances that they do to make them a better farmer than you. Then you're going to go to the practice tool. And you're going to practice against a dummy. You're going to treat that dummy as if it's opponent, which is also hard to do because dummies can't put pressure on you. You know what dummies can do, though? Dummies can represent a position that an opponent's in, and you have to recognize, okay, so if I'm a cutie pie, this is where he'd position himself because it puts the max range between us, gives me position to attack this frontmost creep, and then I can maybe trade back as they step up to me. These are things you have to think through. These are ways you have to look through. It's a very hard thing to do. That first step is always very hard. But once you hit that first step, think about how much easier farming looks to you now. And you go against a silver person who's not going to be doing all these good things, who's not going to be doing all this. Guess what that gives you subconsciously? That gives you control of the lane in a subconscious manner. You don't even have to think about it now. This is something you've become good at. This is something you've practiced over and over again, that you've watched VODs over and over again for. Okay, cool. All of a sudden, your farming level just goes skyrocketing. That alone will put you into gold. Just changing that one step will put you in the mid to high gold. Holy cow, I can do this. Well, you need to slow down your roll there, bud. It's not a fast stairway. This is, you get to take one step at a time. So, what's the next step, right? Okay, so you got your game knowledge down, right? You have your understanding of objectives. You have your understanding of farming now. What was the other thing you're bad at? Oh, the other big thing you're bad at is fighting. You don't know how to take trades. You don't know how to fight people on a one-on-one basis, and you don't know how to fight in a team. So let's start looking at pros and how they do that, right? These guys know what they're doing, and subconsciously they do. So they might not be able to explain it to you, and they might have big streams, so they might not be able to explain it to you. And maybe guides aren't working for you all that well, but watching them some reason does. And so you're going to watch them. Mind you, guides are a whole nother way that you can start learning these things. There are farming guides, there are team fighting guides, there are all types of guides out there. Mobalytics helps with that a lot too. And Mobalytics will also help you address what problems you might have. This isn't a paid plug for them. This is just a tool that I'm telling you guys you could use. I personally don't really use Mobalytics all that much. I do use LOL Analytics, which is a good site. League of Graphs is another good site. There are multiple sites out there you can use to find to help you find out what your weaknesses are. But say this guy is now watching all these things, and he's starting to practice on how he's supposed to trade in lane. He's starting to practice how he's supposed to fight in a team fight. The only way to do those, unfortunately, practice tool isn't the greatest for that. Practice tool is better for, learning where to flash, learning how to use heal, learning positioning against a dummy, but not really, how to respond versus it. This one, you have to get practical experience. So I either recommend either doing ranked or normals draft. Normals draft is still slightly competitive, so you might want to do that one. Ranked is a good one, but then again, you might lose some of your rank doing so. But don't get discouraged if you do. It's going to take some time to get better. But once you've figured it out, once you've gotten that skill, once you've mastered it a bit more, you're going to see yourself start skyrocketing again. But remember, guys, we're taking one step at a time. We still have to figure out what it is to get you to that diamond. You make it into plat. Oh, sweet! I'm a god now. I'm into plat. This is higher than I've ever been. I'm gonna keep climbing, and you do for a little while, and then all of a sudden you hit a wall, and that mindset of yours just goes away, and you start doing some of the same mistakes that you'd made before. And you got to get over this last hurdle. This last hurdle is a mental block that you're going to be putting up for yourself. You just made that last step that you need to take to get there look like a wall. You're going to look like you have to make that 6 foot up jump. Now, how do you beat this? How do you determinedly, say, I'm not bad. I know I've gotten better. I can do this. Well, that's up to you. You have to either one be able to just flip your mindset on a dime like that and be able to tell yourself, I can do this. Let me just go back to what I was doing and I'm going to do it. Or the other thing you could do is find ways to take breaks that are healthy for you. Some people, it's overexposure to League that just makes it unhealthy for you, right? You just get very negative, you get very pessimistic, you get very upset, and your emotions become so tied to the game that it makes it much harder for you to do critical thinking and analysis when you were emotionally invested into something. So take some time to become uninvested emotionally. Take some time by playing Teamfight Tactics, which is a great example of something you could do soon. Play Dota Auto Chess, play Hearthstone, play MTG Arena, play, Rocket League, play something else that you're not emotionally invested in. So even if you lose, you lose. Do something that is a game, something that is fun, something that just lets you cool off. And then, once you're collected, cool, calm, and collected, and ready to go again, you can come back into ranked. Now, mind you, I have said in the past on a different video that, don't take those huge giant breaks. Maybe play one ranked game a day. You know why? It keeps you still, engaged in League. It makes you still grounded in the fact that my goal is still to make Diamond. But you're taking time away from it so that you're not emotionally invested like you were before. Now, you want to be invested with all your heart, mind you, but there's a difference between having heart, spirit, and a drive and being emotionally tied to the point that you want to cry when you lose. There's some massive differences between the two of these, and having to find that ground between them is very hard. It's a very small gray line that you have to find between these two things. But hopefully, you'll be able to find it for yourself. And that kind of summarizes the whole idea of making the step ladder, guys. Making the steps to success, or making that ladder. Find the analogy that works for you. But this is just kind of a breakdown of my analogy for how it works for me, man. You got to set these milestones. You got to set something that is obtainable. Because think about it this way: I've now hit one step. I've now hit another step, and the steps start rolling. Once you start succeeding in one thing, the next thing doesn't look as hard, and so on and so forth. You start succeeding when you hit smaller goals. Something that's much easier for you to get better at makes that thing that's much harder get much closer, because guess what? Eventually, hey, look, Diamond doesn't seem that hard. I'm starting to steamroll. I'm starting to get there. And you become very positive. You become very actively aware of the fact that, hey, you have an honest chance of making that obtainable, far away, idea into a reality. And the reason why is because you've taken smaller steps, making smaller, easier to reach milestones. Just because something's easy to reach doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's another step for you to overcome and get better and better until you're finally, get that momentum built that you can just go step by step by step by step all the way to the top. Hopefully this has been a helpful video to you guys. Hopefully you found the first part of it enjoyable and the second part even more enjoyable and helpful. If you guys did like the video, please leave a thumbs up on the video. Share this video with your friends, be it on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to share it. And leave a comment down below letting me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, if you want to see different stuff in the future, if you want to see more of the same in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I am Lord Nick, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope you all have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.